the Statue of Liberty being struck at its base. There is so much going on in America right now, which, people are thinking it's this and it's about that and it's about the other. But could it be that it's about something completely outside of the issues that most people are discussing? I shall understand, and what we're going to take a look at are some articles which collectively I'm going to refer to as a Bible prophecy alert. The main article that I want to point out in particular is Greenblatt, Sovereignty Only If Israel Sets Aside Land for Palestinians. Now that is an article which is on Israel National News, and we will take a look at that. But first of all, what we're going to do is go over to our fair use notice. What we're going to be looking at are some articles which, through various publications, are copyrighted material, but we're going to be looking at these things from the standpoint of fair use for commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. And with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at this first article right here. This article actually includes a video, and in particular worth noting is the date, July 23rd, and it's basically a video. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can press play and just let it play right here, and you guys can just take a look at it. Lightning, as you can see in the storm here, strikes the Statue of Liberty at its base, and that would be a direct hit in terms of a lightning strike. Strikes the statue at its base. There it is right there. Lights it up. Now, worth noting, once again, is the date. We're talking about July 23rd. Okay. Now, when we look at that and compare it to another article, which I mentioned just moments ago, on Israel National News, we have Greenblatt, Sovereignty Only If Israel Sets Aside Land for Palestinians. I'm going to go ahead and read just a little bit of this article right here. It's not very long, actually. Jason Greenblatt, Israel advisor to the U.S. administration, told Galei Tzahal today that any application of Israeli sovereignty has to be accompanied by a commitment to apportion land for a future Palestinian state. He hinted that ongoing disputes between Netanyahu and Gantz have pushed off sovereignty, noting that there's no doubt that when the Israeli government decides what it wants to do, it will act in coordination with the White House. We already reached an agreement in January. What I'm going to bring up is a book on Amazon, which I have referenced before. I have a copy of it myself. It is 576 pages of documentation. The 2017 expanded edition actually includes over $100 billion record-setting catastrophes and or events which have occurred while U.S. presidents George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and Donald Trump were pressuring or calling on Israel to divide their covenant land. And the thing about this pattern is that it is typically within 24 to 48 hours, in some cases in real time, the correlation between U.S. presidents pressuring or calling on Israel to divide, to give up portions of their land, to share portions of their land, or in the case of Greenblatt, calling for Israel to set aside land for a Palestinian state. these things are repeatedly met with consequences. Now, the pattern is very much intact. Once again, usually as documented in this book, Eye to Eye by William Koenig, subtitle being Facing the Consequences of Dividing Israel. It's consistent. The author of this book, William Koenig, has been a White House press correspondent for some 20 years. At the time that this 2017 expanded edition was released, he had been, at least according to the book right here, I've got it on my desk, a White House correspondent for 16 years. And so now just add, we're approaching 19, 20 years that this man who has the authority and the credentials to write about these patterns that he's recognizing had actually been a White House press correspondent, and I believe he still is. Koenig, World Watch Daily. And as you can see, as far as top news is concerned, it's current with up-to-the-date articles and so forth. But underneath the header, you'll see a navigation menu, and you can click where it says Eye to Eye. I'm going to click on that. And what that'll do is that'll bring up the headlines as they pertain to the theme which the book was about. Okay, now you've got among the articles one that was written on June 20th of this year, June 20th, 2020. And I'm actually going to, I've got that article open already, but the title of the article is Life in America Before and After the Trump Peace to Prosperity Plan was delivered on January 28th of 2020. I have that open right here. And what you're going to be able to do if you go over to this, and once again realizing that this was written on June 20th of 2020, you can read through this, and there's a point-for-point comparison of what life in America was like before this Peace to Prosperity Plan was delivered, and what life in America has been like since January 28th of 2020. So he covers everything here in this comparison. I'm not going to read through all these points. I will provide the link in the description of this video so that you can check this out for yourself. But it's really, I mean, it would be unbelievable, the comparison before and after, unless you've actually lived it, as of course anyone in America has definitely seen what's been going on, and not just people who live here, but people all over the world have been looking at what's happening in America and are wondering what in the world is going on. Well, a very pivotal date was January 28th of 2020. So when we look at this article here about Israeli sovereignty over Israeli land being contingent upon Israel setting aside land for the Palestinians, that's a major uh-oh right there. Because as the Bible describes, one of the reasons why the Lord is going to gather the nations for judgment is because among various things that they did to his heritage, his people, Israel, is they even divided the land of Israel. And that is one of the reasons why the Lord says that he is going to gather the nations for judgment. They did this to my people, they did that, they did the other, and they even divided my land. So that's in Joel chapter 3, verse 2. That's the article. This is, once again, from July 23rd, the Statue of Liberty being struck at its base. There is so much going on in America right now, which You know, people are thinking it's this and it's about that and it's about the other. But could it be that it's about something completely outside of the issues that most people are discussing?